When you're thinking about it, Neal, when you're looking at technology, you're known for supporting innovation. You have key brand values that you want to communicate. What in your brief to OMD and then the responses that came back and the layer that came through, what were the brand values that you felt were key to communicate through the channels?
Well, it's you're going to hear it over and over again, but it really goes back to innovation again. And when we talk about our brand values, it's about, obviously tactically around the launches that we have to do with these key launches. Those key launches and those products are very innovative. When we talk about a halo effect, even the Nissan Leaf that we launched last year, very, very innovative product. We're the leader in electric vehicle technology, and that part is great. So that part was in the brief. The other piece of it, and Karena touched on it, was that we want to approach the market in a very innovative way. You'll see a lot of brands out there. Everyone tries to grasp on innovation. Everybody wants to be that, whether it's other car companies, whether it's grocery stores, whether it's health, hospitals. Everyone wants to hold on to that. So it's one thing to have the product, that's part A. Part B is the approach to your market has to be equally innovative. So that's really, really important. I think when we look at Layar as well, it's about customer expectation. So we have our message, which gets delivered through our media, but the customers have an expectation today that's different and constantly growing because of the digital age. So it's great to have print, but to be able to make that print work harder, and again, for like Claire was talking about, whether it's sharing or whether it's tracking, I mean, those things are very, very important to us in order to engage customers.
Great. Now, Rimi, from a creative perspective, when OMD first presented this idea, what challenges did it create, and what did you immediately think?
Well, we didn't believe them when they first presented it. Like, yeah, right. But we were really excited when we heard about Layar. You know, one of the objectives that Nissan gave us as well is to come up with media first, creative first ideas. So when we did the briefing, we were expecting to, with our partners, to come in to do industry first, Canada first, North American first ideas. So we were really excited because it's, you know, as Neal mentioned, it's a print ad and there's only so much engagement we can do, which is great, but now we had an opportunity to bring our vehicles to life. And understanding that consumers more and more want information right away at the touch of their thumb, we thought this would be a great opportunity to take augmented reality to the next stage. So it was a great storytelling process for us. So it wasn't just creating ads or assets. It was basically a two-step process on, we're going to say this, and then with the touch of a thumb, we're going to also say this. And it keeps the consumers engaging and interactive with our products as well.
So no shortage of digital assets from the client?
No shortage at all. We have a lot of digital assets, and we've launched our virtual showroom, which is our online 24/7 showroom that allows consumers to interact with our vehicles with a no-pressure sales approach. And we thought, what a great way to leverage our showroom so the consumer can actually interact with a person on the Nissan side and get to know our vehicles more intimately.
Now, Karena, on that basis, I mean, interaction, the intimate kind of knowledge of what's in component in the campaign, but how important was the ease of execution, both for you as the agency and then for the reader and the consumer that you're trying to attract?
I think from our end, what we looked at, this was certainly a media first, and it was a great opportunity in terms of leverage innovation. The same rules do apply at the end of the day. You need to have great creative, great messaging, and be focused and keep it simple. And I think Rimi could talk a little bit to where we started in the campaign. We thought, oh, this is exciting, and just as Claire talked about all the touch points you can do on an ad, oh, let's do all of this because we have so much to talk about Nissan or the Altima vehicle. And in the beginning, we sort of, okay, let's do this, and then realize, as a consumer, there's certain things we need to focus on and what you want to take in at a particular time that you're engaging them. So
yeah, we realized,
so we learned, we realized through the education, that was part of our education process of actually simplifying and being more focused, because Layar gave you the opportunity to do so much, and I think that's one of the things that you have to sort of keep yourself very focused and understand the reader, in this case when you look at it from a print perspective, what are they really looking for and what's the right touch point for us and how we engage them.
Now, I'm going to tempt fate again with technology, and actually because Maggie has some stuff that she'd like to share with us, because Maggie, a lot of the the process in communication to the reader was driven on an editorial level, right?
What we felt was really going to lift this campaign from difference from QR codes, difference from just looking at a friendly URL, was giving them examples of things to look at. And we went out to the digital editorial across PostMedia, and our network has 4 million readers with 13 metro newspapers across the country and 1 national, which is the National Post. So,
so which one do you want me to open?
That one.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, let's see if we can get technology to work on our behalf again.
So what we did was created an editorial series, and then called Digital Life, where we talked about augmented reality, we talked about Layar, we talked about all sorts of physical digital combinations that make your life better in an editorial series, and adjacent to that, marketing, which was Layar focused, augmented reality focused. And underneath that, a Nissan ad that was augmented with more editorial plus links to the online showroom and so on. So.
Okay, so I'm going to attempt to run this slideshow now, and
Do you want us to?
No.
yeah, it'd probably be.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just our logo.
Yes, it's the bottom part.
So, do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. If you.
Okay. So since we started in early June, we did the editorial series once a week in the National Post and every other week across all of our other metro papers to give the exposure in the tens of millions. So we've had editorial take this and run with it and do stories in technology, business, news, sports, entertainment, style, and social scene. And if you want to just quickly flip through, the first example is what we did with Nissan support. And these are the 8 different executions that we did. And we created different banners and tried what those look like for our audience. Some were focused on a contest that Nissan sponsored. Others were just editorial information pieces. And one of the things that we learned was the way the ink reacts in print paper and how that reacts with Layar as well. So we changed the actual content that we're producing along the way and changed the stories leading up to Launchpad, which was about halfway through the editorial series. So we hope that the audience was ready for something that was so big. And here's examples of what we did, supporting it editorially, which was really important. And one of the things why we're all on this panel together is because we all want to see the community surround this. So we worked very closely with Toronto Star as well to get the same story, the same creative content into their newspapers for a month as well. So together that was 14 newspapers across the country supporting the campaign.
Focus. Excuse me. But what exactly did you sort of do to adjust the campaign as it began its rollout in the creative?
Well, we did the campaign on a retail level and a brand level. So at the retail level, we have our vehicles, we have special offers that are coming in market, and then we had videos that focused on the vehicles. So what we learned, as Karena mentioned, is to keep it simple. We had so much information when we first launched this because we were so excited. And it was like every single thing that the car could do. And then what we realized is that we do have to tell a story, so we need to keep it simple and kind of pull back a little bit. And if we're talking about a design technology story, the videos have to correspond to that as well. And that, you know, we still want to drive people to web and to our Facebook and social channels. So we led them through a storyline that kind of led them from the paper to Layar to the final destination of our social channels. And it was a great learning process. We adapted creative even with color and vehicle angles because we thought we could promote different videos. And even when we had the videos on the newspaper and the scanning process, we made sure that creatively we had enough space so consumers could grasp, you know, where the story starts and where it ends.
That's really cool. Claire mentioned it earlier, about how print creates desire, and then you need to once that desire has been created, it may be some time before you can get to the showroom to actually physically see the car, but if you can actually get into that thought process and act upon the desire that you've seen created by the just a simple price and promotion piece, you can actually start to build that brand loyalty that you're looking for in both your current customers and your prospects, right?
And it's a customer journey as well. So, you know, that's why we love the Layar technology, because we showcase the brand and then we made it one thumb technology for the customer to book a test drive or come into the showroom, which was nice to do in one process.
And it really goes to, it can't be understated, just engagement. Just that moment at the bare minimum, to have a person look at your ad is great, right? And going back, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that's all we would hope for, is look at the ad, maybe they took something away, maybe they went away. At a bare minimum, to be able to have them look at the ad and then just engage with it, even for 30 more seconds, even for 20 more seconds, that's golden. Like, you can't buy that. Well, you can buy it now. But it's fantastic to have. And engagement is something that we measure now. Engagement is critical as part of you know, the top end of consideration. So.
Right. Now, Maggie, you have that whole kind of consideration, the engagement level, but it's not just about advertising, right? The engagement level, particularly in reader education and encouraging people to develop that habit about kind of keeping the phone nearby when they're reading a magazine or a newspaper. That needs encouraging, right?
It does. And so what we've done in a couple of our examples, if I can just flip through how we've modified we started with instructions that were direct to the reader, and it said, you know, there's a lot of real estate here spent towards directing them what to expect along the journey. So they have to make the choice to interrupt their reading experience, take out their phone. It's, you know, get increasingly more and more beside you, but to take out their phone, how long it takes to go from downloading the app to actually getting some new content with it. But we did see engagement continue to grow, and then finally, this is one particular series that was over 5 days, so we saw engagement grow over 5 days, and we now see in some papers every week the same section is continuing to do that. So on Wednesdays, there's, you know, a continuity there. But it does take some description of what you're going to get by making that choice, as opposed to just flipping the page to the next story.
Now, I think it's a good opportunity to pause here and ask the questions, if you guys have any, about what we've seen here in terms of a conception leading to kind of a brief, and then from the brief to the execution. Does anybody have any particular questions for the panel?
I have a curiosity. You listed papers from coast to coast. Was there a particular uptake in regions over others?
We weren't able to actually, from our side, we weren't able to actually see from the audience who is picking it up more, but from an editorial side, Vancouver Sun particularly has been going like gangbusters, and they've been using it constantly. I've got a few more examples in the deck I can show of programs that they've built it into in their editorial. Same thing with Edmonton, and we now have interest in Saskatchewan from our two papers in Regina and Saskatoon. But as far as the granular level of when we look at the launch pad, Toronto versus Ottawa versus Vancouver, we weren't able to, with one piece of creative, judge which was the most popular.
We were, because we used the Toronto Star as well, we were able from the media side to look at the Post versus the Toronto Star and how that engagement happened, because we were able to look at two different suppliers, publishers in that way. So we did see some differences there. Primarily, I think more on the editorial side in terms of engagement, but similarly on the creative side in terms of our actual brand ads, they were fairly similar across the board.
There's so many variables to it. If the creative was different from paper to paper to paper, that would be one factor. But then, you know, section or size of paper that day. So it's something that, you know, drilling down to, I'd like to see in the future. You guys probably would like to.
It's probably one of the other evolutions that we would like to see here.
We did one creative change. We had a Nissan Next Tour, which is a cross-country tour promoting our vehicles. And in one day we had promoted one of the Layar links to that location, and our event company called us and said they got 77 additional test drives within the hour that the paper launched. So that for us was a great metric because what we were putting in the creative was actually having an instant reaction. So that's the only metric I have right now. But it was great. 77 test drives.
As Claire mentioned earlier, QR codes were built for phones that are not necessarily technologically advanced today. That being said, here in Canada, QR codes for some clients are even a hard push to get them to use that in their material. So could you talk about sort of how that conversation went between Nissan and the agencies about how you sort of got them to agree to say, you know what, let's even push the curve even farther, going beyond a QR code, which is a generic tool in today's environment, to something as specific as you have to download this application in order to view the material.
It was really easy for me because both my parents are Dutch, so as soon as I found out I was from Holland, I just said, yeah, I don't know how to just sign the deal. But no, I mean, I can let Karena speak to it as well, but again, from the client side, it goes back to at a strategic level, we want to be innovative. We want to be the first in market to utilize this kind of a technology, and we want people to see us using that type of technology. We utilize QR codes as well. QR codes have their place. I think Claire started talking about that. If you go to a Nissan dealership today, you'll see QR code stickers on the car. On a Sunday, you can go by, you can look at it. It's very, very easy. But this is, again, something unique. Brand new car, brand new technology. When people see us utilizing that technology, the hope is that they say, oh, wow, you know, it's not just another car company that says, yeah, they're innovative and they've got good products. They actually are putting their money on the line. And this is it's a risk. I mean, it is like anything else in advertising. I mean, there is a certain inherent risk to this. But I think, as you've heard today, the payoff was even more. And again, for me, I can't state it enough. Is that just that additional element of engagement that we got from this was totally worth it.
From the creative side, we had a list of assets, like our virtual showroom. We had a bunch of videos on our vehicles. We had so many digital content that we could promote that this was, in this case, was a very happy sell. So we had content that related to our vehicles that we could push forward, and it was just a win-win situation.
And I think we have, over the years, looked at QR codes from a media perspective. And one of the reasons we wanted to look at this is really to test the difference, because we've always had sort of an up and down sort of what results of QR codes and how effective they really are, to be honest with you. And given, you know, the smartphone penetration that's happening now and growth in Canada, is this really sort of the jump that we need to make? And this is where it is, and to Neal's point, we just take that leap to the next innovation of where it was. So for us, we're looking at two different ways. One, it was being the media first in innovation, but also how does it look towards a QR code campaign? And Sean, we've done some of that.
I've done some of that too. And QR codes going back had a lot of the same challenges. People didn't know what they were, so you had to have some element of education. Uptake's still a little bit slow. I mean, I wish I could quote statistics off my head about current use of QR codes, but pretty much everybody knows what they are. And if they really wanted to, they could download the app with their phone and do it. But with Layar, it's going to go through the exact same kind of thing. There has to be the content, there has to be the experience, they build the audience, then everybody knows what that Layar logo does and the experience that they can expect.
Yeah. And I think from Neal, that was your biggest reservation. Is there going to be enough people to know about it in order for us to even test it? So, and he was right. I mean, that's one of the things, and that was the risk we were taking to do this test and be at the forefront of it. So,
you know, one of the factors there is the dealer networks and the dealers. How much of a response did you get from them to the campaign?
It's subjective, you know, feedback, but we brought it to in front of our dealers. We let them know, as we normally do whenever we do national campaigns, and said, "This is what's happening. This is what it includes. It includes this technology," and they were very supportive. You know, again, they're very much behind it. Anything that we can do to, again, stretch and be unique in the marketplace, either from a product or from an approach to market, they're 100% behind it. Now, you know, I think we tend to be a little bit more bleeding edge at the corporate level in order to try to push things versus our dealer network, because again, they're focused on selling cars, and I totally understand that. So, to the point talking about QR code versus something like Layar, is it something that our dealers are rushing to adopt? Well, no, not necessarily at this moment, but like I said, QR codes they've adopted, and they see the immediate effect of that. I think you'll in the coming year, for certain, you'll see dealers that go, hey, you know what, I wonder how that worked out for Nissan. And we'll tell them, and I think it'll get there, for sure.
We had a launch event when we launched Layar with our partner newspapers, and just watching people's reaction. We talked about it, and everyone's like, okay, cool. And then when we saw them actually interact with it, just the element of surprise was like watching kids like on Christmas, like open your presents. They're just like, oh, this is how it works. So I think the major thing for the clients would be that, I guess using Nissan as an example, showcasing your content that you do have and want to leverage, and then kind of walking them through the customer journey. And this is a story we're going to tell. I think that's one way for more companies to be open to this technology.
One of the things, if I could just add to that, the reason why we thought of including it in the pitch originally was some of the interactivity that you actually get when you launch Layar. It's got these, sort of a spin to it, and the reveal, and then a tactile button. So really, in and of itself, calls to action. And we found that that's one of the things that really happens well in our editorial series as well, is that they're just using the generic buttons that Layar's created that have a nice shape to them. They look like a big thing you can, nice juicy thing you can touch. And then you get the next activity. So part of our learning is in taking buttons that look like buttons and using those, or, again, indicating and leading what's next.
Any other questions from the audience? Karena.
Yeah, I just want to find out, are you all still using the technology then on other campaigns beyond?
Yes, we
are.
are.
Nissan as well, you use it with other launches?
We can't really say anything, but there's very big on the horizon, so utilizing this technology.
It's really cool.
Crazy.